were we on the petunias here when it froze?
You were zoomed in on the aphid skeleton remain type thing on the leaves.
Okay. Well, on these leaves, you see these white specks? Those are the skeletal remains of aphids. And if you look real close, there's a green one sitting right there. And what are aphids? They're sap suckers. So that thing's like a mosquito. It shoves a needle down in the plant and drains the sap right out of it. Now, aphids are a problem for two reasons. One, it damages the health of the plant. Two, these little white things all over it don't look attractive. It doesn't make it easy to sell a plant when you see stuff like that. And number three, aphids poop out. They eat, and obviously they excrete it, right? And when they excrete it, it comes out and it's called honeydew. And it's higher in sugar. Ants are actually known to grab aphids. An ant will find an aphid, it'll pick it up, put the aphid on its back, and it'll walk the aphid up to a plant and put it on the plant. And then the ant will come back later and eat the honeydew. Disgusting, but the honeydew is rich in sugar. So the ants are actually a problem in a greenhouse because they do stuff like that. They help to infest your plants with things you don't want on them. So we got to get the aphids off of these plants because aphids will multiply. They actually multiply asexually. They'll multiply. Once you see a couple of them, if you wait to treat it, even a week or two, you might be completely overrun by the time you treat it. That's how fast they are. Once you see them, you got to get on it right away. Aphids can multiply sexually, but they can also do it asexually. And that's what makes them so dangerous. Now, I went from there, I was talking a little bit about the wisteria down here. And I have the wisteria underneath the table here because if you look real close, you'll see red dots on little spider webs. And they're called spider mites. And they're a real pain in the hind end. I hate spider mites and I hate aphids. And they're both very difficult to get rid of. My hope with the wisteria is a perennial. And really, just because these plants are kind of young and tender is the only reason they're in the greenhouse still. I'm hoping the plants can outlast the infestation long enough to where we get past where it's freezing at night. As soon as we reach that point, I'll get those plants outside, and outside they're going to come across other bugs that actually eat spider mites, and that'll be a happy day. So another look at the brumanjas from here. It's like a forest of flowering brumanja trees. And every one of those flowers is about twice the size of my fist. Down here in front of me, now you see a bunch of 5-gallon buckets. Most of them have coleus in them. And these are the coleus plants that you guys took as cuttings. And you started them in 4-inch cells. And then we transplanted them from 4-inch cells into these pots here. And then I took them from these pots and I put them in a 5-gallon bucket. These coleus plants will turn into something that very much resembles a bush. I put them in here, I cut them back. You know, we need to get some more branching on them so they branch out. And then I planted on a lot of these marigolds underneath them. And to do that, I had marigolds left over. They got brought in from old pots. And these flowers, now these are marigolds right here. Those flowers that you're looking at the end of fall will dry up, and each flower will have about 100 to 200 seeds. And those seeds, I took them off of the old plants, so they weren't the hybrids that I bought. In fact, what you end up getting, you'll get a marigold, but it just won't be what you had before. It won't be as pretty or big. And I took a bunch of seeds from the open pollination and I spread them out in here. So what this is kind of an experiment. I want to see if by putting many of them all together like that, will it fill in? Will they flower? And what will it look like? But it might be nice to have this purple crown and then this green with orange underneath it. Okay, now there's a tray in the middle here. These are the same pots, but these are petunias, and these are ones you guys grew from seed. I've had to cut them back once, and I'm going to have to cut them back again. They're doing great, and the white ones in particular look fantastic. These ones we're going to use as ground cover. You see some chrysanthemums there and a wandering Jew, spider plant there in a pot and not a basket. We come over here and you see a whole bunch of canna lilies, little ones. And these are ones that you guys put in as seeds. You remember trying to file those darn seeds? They were round and black and just hard as rock. Well, these are the ones you got to germinate, and some of them are looking a little rough, but boy, a lot of them are looking great. And once we get a little better weather and I can get these guys outside, I think they're really going to take off. And what's nice about them is they form this this tuber underneath them. And when you dig it up, if you break that up, you can actually take that root, that tuber, and break it up, and it'll turn into multiple plants. All right, so we have more coleus. Down here, we have trays of lobelia. Now, these trays were ones that you guys did from seed. In fact, lobelia and, is that bacopa? Yeah, there's some bacopa in there with them. So you guys did this. I've cut them back once, but they're going to need cut back again. They're doing all right. I wanted them to come in denser than what I'm seeing, but we're still early, and I think these guys need a lot more sunlight than what they're getting. Look over here, and you see all kinds of spider plants. You guys took that giant spider plant in my room, and you planted a lot of the runners that came off of it, and here they are, and they're doing great. We have peppers here. You guys planted the peppers, and they're all kinds of grown up. Frankly, I have them too close together, and I need to repot them into 4-inch pots and then spread them out because they're all fighting for sunlight. You see how they're stretching upwards and getting leggy? And that's not great. We don't want that, but it is what it is at this point. Lobelia down beneath me here. Bacopa right there. Again, these are in 4-inch cells, so these would have been the ones you guys put in as seed. The vinca we got as plugs. Here's another 14-inch basket. Again, petunias all over. Lobelia. There's bacopa over here. And down here, vinca. Some of the other vining plants that we've worked with, you might remember some of these guys. These were baskets that they actually came from my house. And I put the coleus in just thinking it would add a little bit of color, and the coleus took over the basket. And you can see the basket sitting here, how big this plant's getting once it's finally gotten some sunlight. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to have to find something else because it's just grown out of control. These new plants are zinnias. And then over here, these very, very new ones that are just now coming up are tomatoes. And we come over here, and when I first started transplanting when I first took these pots that are hanging, the baskets that are hanging, and I cut them back, I started taking those cuttings and I put them into pots like this. So basically just doing cuttings on them. These were some of the first ones, and you can see that they're jumping right up. They're doing just absolutely fantastic. And every one of these 4-inch pots has the right mixture of plants to be a 14-inch basket once it comes in, once they get rooted and start exploding. So over here, these were petunias you guys did. I think these guys came in I don't know. I can't remember if these were from cuttings or from seed. They may have been from seed. And underneath the table over here is the vinca. It's called periwinkle. It's a different type of vinca that you did. And notice as I get closer here, you see the chlorosis on the leaves again? That yellowing, the mottled look. Well, I'm trying to figure out what caused it. And these plants are struggling. And I thought at first they might have been getting too much sunlight. That's why I put them down here. My next thing is to start hitting them with more nutrient. Now, my nutrient injector, which is that blue device over there, is not working properly, but the replacement part that I need should be here tomorrow, at which point I will start hitting everything in here pretty hard and heavy with nutrient. And you'll see these baskets just literally explode in about 2 weeks once they start getting that kind of nitrogen. So that's the tour of the greenhouse. Do you guys have any questions? If you do, raise your hand and I'll call on you one at a time and have you unmute your mic. Okay, I saw Aiden's come in first. Go ahead, unmute your mic and floor is yours.
Hey, so as you were doing the tour, so I'm wondering if you need to repot some things. If you want, you can email me and I'll come up and help you out. I need to get out of this house.
I hear you. And I've had a couple students offer that. I need to talk to Mr. Ray, but I imagine he's going to tell me no. Because of what's going on, the very reason why we're not in school, he's probably not going to let me have students up here. Now, what I'll ask him is, if it's just me and one other student or two other students, but I suspect the answer is still going to be no, because there is certainly a risk there.
Okay.
Elizabeth.
My first question, how are you doing, Dr. Kreiner?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm pretty great too. My second question is, next year, will we be able to come and see these?
Well, yes. And if they lift the social distancing ban sometime in May, and it's possible, okay? It's looking questionable, but it's possible. Then I'll be calling on you guys to help me sell these. I do not want to carry this inventory all summer. In fact, I want the greenhouse emptied, completely emptied this summer. So
that makes me really excited. I can't wait.
Well, and I hope we get to do that. I really do. Hey guys, I have one more thing to show you. Check this out. Somebody brought in at the beginning of the year ferns, and I repotted them into bigger pots, and there they are. I have them underneath the table because ferns they don't like direct sunlight. But you see the ferns are coming back, and that's going to fill in very nicely. All right, Yeah, I thought, Aiden. I thought those were yours, but I didn't want to say that and be wrong. So, cool. Way cool. Anybody else have a question? Okay, guys. Well, from here on out, every Monday and Thursday, we'll get together. And I'll either do a live session from the greenhouse like I've done here, or I'll do something from my house. I have a hydroponic unit I want to show you, and a strawberry tower, and some gardening things. So we'll get together, and we'll do a little bit of curriculum, and we'll do a little bit of exploring and showing you what's going on. And my hope is that maybe you learned something about plants today and aphids and spider mites and they're bad. And we'll go from there. For those of you who joined, thanks for coming. And with that, I think we're going to call it a day. Mickey, you can turn the recorder off. And we'll see you on Monday. I'll hang out here till everyone leaves. Mickey, go ahead and stop the recording.